Alright, what is going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? The ACMJS Gamer here. The video behind me is just background. There's not going to be any sound except for my voice. I basically went through and watched a bunch of YouTuber impressions on Star Wars Outlaws yesterday. All of the people that I have watched say that they played about a 4-hour demo or a 4-hour slice of the game, and the general impressions are really good. If you're coming into this game as this is a Star Wars adventure game and that's it, you'll be fine. Your expectations will be tempered. It's not a classic Ubisoft game in the sense of the open world is the same checkbox type stuff. The open world, a lot of people have actually said they didn't really get to encounter because I think they said the first 3 hours of the game, well, some of them were on one planet and then 1 hour on another planet, and so they didn't really get into the big, wide open world that you could trek across. There were definitely side activities and the main quest that some of them did, and they said that it was all majorly linear. There wasn't really anything off the beaten path. They did say, though, that your main quest could be interrupted at any time by a plethora of side content. For example, you can play a game of sabacc, you can bet on horse races, you can overhear conversations with NPCs talking about something out in the wilds. Just a whole lot of different things you can do. You can do speeder bike races, you can try and defend homesteaders from roving bandits or marauders or bounty hunters, just a whole lot of different stuff. So with that, we'll get started with the first one, which is ACG. He says that he felt like the game was built across years as expectations for the space genre in particular had been broadened. It is a solid third-person shooter exploration title that the open spaces at times felt like Uncharted with a Division style of combat. And yeah, I tend to agree from what I've seen. I haven't played the game, but from what I've seen, there does tend to be a lot of open space that looks like Uncharted. You'll see MasterAssassin later. He comments that the stealth of the game feels a lot like Watch Dogs, more so than any other Ubi title, if that makes sense. ACG also commented that there was a low amount of money for bounty jobs. He said for a majority of the quests, you can adjust how you want to turn in the quest. Which is you can switch to a different faction depending on the outcome. That may give you good or bad reputation for depending on the faction you choose. Intel gathered in the world in one location may unlock other activities elsewhere in the galaxy. He did say the music was excellent and the performance of what was seen was good by the voice actress for Kay Vess. That's something else that I've heard a lot of. Is that the acting was very well done, and the voice acting was well done, and the mocap was well done. They just don't know how the story is going to unfold, and they're like, if you're dropped into a random part of the story and you don't know anything, it's kind of hard to judge the story, but they said all of the other elements that were there were very well done. EckhartsLadder said Nix and K are comparable to Jak and Daxter or BD1 and Cal. My immediate thought was Grogu and Mando. He said, quote, Nix came from a gameplay... Oh, this is one of the devs' quotes. Came from a gameplay necessity to give the player more reach in the game world while keeping K a grounded scoundrel. They're both fully fleshed out characters. It is the scoundrel fantasy for Star Wars fans. You feel like Han Solo. EckhartsLadder compared the stealth to Splinter Cell. And there is also, if you notice in the gameplay, there's a limited heads-up display that doesn't really hold your hand, as they were talking and as we've covered in different dev interviews. They don't really hold your hand. They kind of crash you onto Shara, which is like a small space, and then they give you an objective that goes to bigger, bigger, bigger. So they start out small and it gets bigger. That was one complaint, like I said, by Luke Stevens, that he doesn't really feel like they got to explore the open world big part of the game, that would probably take place later. Let's see. Bombastic said there are constant prompts for side missions and events to distract you from the main story. If you kill an Imperial commander, they will give you a key card to remove the wanted level if you get wanted. There are multiple routes that you can take in multiple missions that gets you to different, or that will get you to one objective, but you can do it all stealthily. Quests can be unlocked by interacting with random NPCs on the streets in cantinas. So yeah, that's another thing I heard a lot of, is that there will be random encounters where you can get information on different jobs. Force Gaming said some NPCs will trick you. Multiple routes can be achieved on one mission. There are brokers. We've seen gameplay. They're basically syndicate side quest givers. If you use your companion Nyx, she can turn on and off switches, distract guards, and retrieve items. If you get caught in a restricted area, it is a fail state, and it will set you back to the beginning. There are times in one mission where, depending on the area you're in, you can't get caught, and then you're allowed to use your blaster in others. Some creatures will guide you to loot, very similar to Ghost of Tsushima. We do have an update on the gear. There is different types of gear for the shirt, the vest, the pants, and the belt, and they give you different perks. That there will be more on that later. Actually, no, there won't. Some of the perks include reduced damage, regen health, increased ammo capacity, more consumables, increased move speed. There are some perks for the blaster that can increase attack speed, strength configuration, plasma ion power, and stun attacks. Force Gaming said this is not just a typical Ubisoft open world formula. JorRaptor said it was stunning looking and JorRaptor said it was stunning looking but pretty empty landscapes. The big world events happen once, but can be completed later after a period of time. Smaller world events are repeatable, but also come back later after a period of time once you've done them. JorRaptor was worried about the gunplay after 10 hours using the same tactics with Nyx, distracting and then getting into firefights, or distracting guards and then stealthily taking them out. He also worried about whether or not it will be too easy to alter the reputation based on the purely amount of contracts and missions done that are available for each faction. SkillUp said mechanically the gameplay is very simple. It's a cover shooter. He said it's a good Star Wars game for people looking to lose themselves in a video game. He did mention the very bad facial animations, which is something I have been mentioning all along. And he said the enemy AI got caught on geometry, and then they also were stuck on an alert phase when he was trying to be stealthy, which didn't end up going down. TheRadBrad said that it is a unique scoundrel adventure. The combat, voice acting, and stealth were good. You can be arrested in the middle of a mission, and the docking sequence will pop up with a prompt when you're boarding a station in space, which is very interesting because that can also lead to a bunch of side quests. Morpgologis said that expectations should be tempered. They are handcrafted planets, not auto-generated like Starfield. They did a really good job making the city feel lived in a Star Wars universe. The NPCs have their own routes and their own lives. You'll see them interacting with each other. There's a focus on highly detailed and a densely impacted environment, both on the ground and in space. He said the combat is arcadey, which is something we like. Kay is really well voiced and mocapped along with Nyx, not a cardboard cutout. There's a 3 blaster shot combo that you see in gameplay, but that only regenerates after taking cover. MasterAssassin said the visual world of Tashara looks good, the level of detail and amount of things going on in the world is good, packed areas of NPCs, stormtroopers have random encounters, you can play sabacc, you can do horse gambling. He said stealth is a genuinely consistent way to get through missions, more beneficial than just blasting your way through. He compared it to Watch Dogs, like I said earlier, and he said Nyx feels like the phone in Watch Dogs. And then lastly, Luke Stevens said quests and activities were linear. The open world components haven't been explored by anybody in the 4-hour demo. There are no other factions other than the major 4 that have been released. The reputation, we know, it goes between neutral, good, bad, and then extreme good and bad. If you're on extremely bad terms with the Syndicate, The members of that faction will shoot on sight, but if you're on the extreme good, you'll get better deals on loot and rare items. Luke Stevens personally didn't like the platforming, found it frustrating and annoying. He's the only one that I've heard say that. He also said the amount of side content was surprising. You can use Nyx to sneak at playing cards while playing sit back, and he was the one that complained about the AI not responding to dead/stunned bodies just a few feet away. That is really the entire roundup of all of those 11 people. Luke Stevens just uploaded his video today. I watched it before making this video. There is another YouTuber I would have liked to have watched called Mr. Matty Plays, but I did not see him upload. He probably uploaded today. So, with that being said, that is your roundup of the 11 YouTuber impressions that I got. Like I said at the beginning, it is very overwhelmingly, I would say, positive, as long as you're just looking for a Star Wars game, Star Wars adventure, and not really too much to it. Everybody basically said the mechanics and the gameplay are very simple. They were surprised at how well the stealth was actually managed, and yeah, that's it. They also all, like I said, heavily stressed not to pre-order games based on their recommendations. They recommend that all players wait until the game comes out and see what people say after their full reviews are given. I am of this camp. If you're still on the line about, you know, this game could have very good mechanics, but it could have a bad story. We don't know. Everybody said they liked the missions that they played and the story that they had so far, but they have nothing to compare it to or judge it to because they were dropped in the middle of the story. So, at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable and you don't feel like you have enough information, don't buy the game. Don't feel pressured to buy the game. Wait till the game comes out after launch. See what other people are saying. There's probably going to be a day one patch, and so we'll go from there. I probably will cover the game in small sections. In what I mean by that is probably Easter eggs. I do not plan on doing a full gameplay walkthrough on this channel because I'm going to enjoy it first and play through it. I may, at one point after, just like Jedi Survivor, after a few years, I may end up replaying the game and then recording it on that playthrough. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.